Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is banned from ringside.
Promos. We got a bunch of promos to talk about this week, especially MJF and CM Punk, which we missed last week. I really enjoyed the Edge Miz promo that they had on Monday Night Raw. Even Liv Morgan got a little work shooty. We are going to skip Survivor Series because if you watch Survivor Series, you know we got NXT War Games coming up this week. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
Liv Morgan.
Got a little work shooting. I did. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Hold on, I got to turn on the music for this one. A.k.a. Follow the Moskva down to Gorky Smart, listening to the winds of kayfabe. And to my left, as always, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
It's Thursday. You know what time it is. Allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 233, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saith, hashtag Boo the Heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. I'm hyped up. It's been 2 weeks. It's been a lot to talk about, a lot of ground to cover. I'm jacked. I'm ready to go. That shit was Comedy fucking Central. Vice just comes with the heat every fucking week.
He texted me 3 to choose from today, and he said, you know I like to come hard after a bye week. And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beer. Zach Poland. What's going on, Two Beer?
BFR West in the house.
Not much. Yeah, it's been busy and I've had some time off and some time to reflect on things and I love pro wrestling. Figured it out.
So you're good. You're cured.
Yeah, it's a big surprise, but yeah.
Who the fuck needs a shrink? I mean, besides me. We are coming at you from beautiful St. Charles, Missouri. I mean, it is really nice outside right now. Like, I got flip-flops on. Jason's from a cold-weather people, so he's wearing a jacket and a hoodie. He's layered like Adrian Brody from Succession. But
I feel good, though.
I feel great. Like I said, I hope everybody's Thanksgiving was good.
True story.
I hope that everybody is doing well. I hope everybody's getting into the holiday season. We got the Christmas tree up. Our place is almost put together, which, about time because I have to go back to work on Tuesday.
I was just going to ask you about that.
I was wondering, man. We
Niggas like, damn, you going back to work?
Yeah, no, ever. Seriously, fuck work. But my house is small enough, or short enough, I should say. I live in a ranch now, just like I just stood on a chair and put my Christmas lights up, around the house. It's pretty great.
Hey, man, look, that liability right there alone is reasons why I'm glad I got an apartment. Y'all can hang them Christmas lights up. I'll just put some, a little sparkle around the cats, hold this motherfucker.
I usually call OSHA before I put mine up. The other thing I was going to say is Jason and I lost a friend right before Thanksgiving. Steve Manley was a good friend of ours. Zach, you knew him as the gray-haired guy that was always behind the bar at Jack Patrick's. He died suddenly.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, he died suddenly a couple Sundays ago, and, it's a bummer. The guy lived hard, though. I spent thousands of hours with him. Jason spent hundreds of hours with him.
But still enough.
He was a good guy. I just wanted to say, this one's for Steve Manley, even though he did not give a fuck about pro wrestling.
Couldn't care less.
Could not understand why we talked about it all the time.
But I always asked about it. He was cool enough to say, "How's the podcast going?"
He was
Couldn't give a rat's ass about what wrestling was about, but he was cool enough to ask how the podcast was.
He was a real generous motherfucker, and it's just a reminder. Let the people that you love know that you love them.
For sure.
That's it. And
in that case, I have something to say to you guys. Let's get on with the pod.
JCB, what's the one count?
I guess I can do anything.
You can do anything.
You said promos. Let's talk with the promo that was the one last Wednesday, 2 Wednesday nights ago. I'm sorry. I'm on the way home from work, and I'm looking at Twitter. It's a 7-minute drive, so I can kind of pick and choose what stoplights I can look at Twitter, and I see a tweet from a friend of the show, Michael Wallace Seals, basically saying that the promo of the year just happened. Maybe the promo of the world. I'm like, what the fuck?
Mark Ortolan, friend of the show on Friends of BFR on Facebook, said that was the best promo of all time. Now, that was 10 minutes after it happened. That might be a little recent.
I was thinking, can we let this motherfucker simmer a little bit?
Go ahead.
So I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened? So, of course, I go home, feed the cats, get ready, turn on Dynamite, and it just happens. You knew Punk and MJF were going to cross paths. But when they cross paths, this was when you probably should start paying attention because things should start getting good. And it just, I'll say it for myself personally, it was one of the best promos I've seen in a long time. It's on my short list for promo of the year. There was some low-hanging fruit jokes, but I think that's part of what makes a good promo battle good, because you got to talk about the obvious shit. You got to talk about Rosie O'Donnell. You got to talk about how he's been gone for 7 years. That's obvious shit. But then you got to take things up to another notch, which they both did on each other's side.
Yeah, Snow doesn't play live and not play Informer. You know what I mean? You got to play the hits.
Okay.
You got to give the people what they want.
And at that point, I'm sitting there watching this, and it's going for like 10 or 15 minutes. I'm like, whoa. They're giving these jokers all kinds of latitude, but it was totally worth it because we talked about this, and Zach hammers this point home like nobody's business. AEW comes out, and the first thing they do is they have a match. They don't come out and talk. They come out and have a match and get you invested if you are a pro wrestling fan. This was, dare I say, a sports entertainment start to an AEW show, which made it even more, stand out. You know what I'm saying? I thought both guys did great. If I got to say, quote unquote, who won, I got to give it to MJF. I thought he won.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, it was great. I was actually going to mention that, how usually you can always expect a great match at the beginning, and they subverted expectations, but they still delivered, rather than just subverting expectations just to do it. They're like, well, we're going to give this thing like almost 20 minutes uninterrupted of just a promo battle. And yeah, it was absolutely killer. Really don't have anything negative to say about it. I don't get all the people that act like it's anathema to mention WWE. Like, WWE chooses not to mention other wrestling promotions. That is not the norm. That's not like normal to act like nothing else exists outside of your world. That's like not normal behavior.
That's called a bubble, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not normal. Nobody lives in a fucking bubble. Or should they live in a bubble?
In any aspect of your life, you should not be like putting blinders on to anything. And I mean, how can you not reference it? Like, that's where people, like, Punk was an absolute megastar. Of course, like Jason said, like, whether you want to say low hanging fruit or just like the elephant in the room, I mean, like, you just gotta say it. And it's also an excellent way to get heat, because that fan base, especially live, you're just gonna get booze as soon as you mention it, and it's gonna pop the people. And the whole point of pro wrestling is to pop the people. Like, you got to get the people fucking going.
Okay.
And like, why wouldn't you do the thing that would get them going? Like, why not do the thing? So you're just a fucking idiot if you I mean, if you want to say, like, oh, you lean on this, like, too much as a crutch, whatever. I don't think that they do, but, like, that's kind of qualifying a little bit. But the people that act like it just shouldn't happen, they're fucking idiots, and I shouldn't even give them the waste of breath that I just did.
And I'll say this, and then you can jump in, Bill. The last thing that they did, which was absolutely perfect, they didn't touch. No physicality, no nothing. Now you're like, you just left me like, man, this match is gonna be the shit.
Yeah, you have the babyface won it, you have the heel roll out. It goes like that because that's what works. Like Zach said, we probably shouldn't give it too much oxygen. The people that were against it. Listen, I've listened to a couple podcasts with people talk about it. I was on Twitter that night because it was a fun night to be on Twitter. But the smugs of wrestling Twitter, and that's what I call them. I call them the smugs because there are smugs out there that they just want to ruin what wrestling is. They want to ruin. Now, listen, I can get smug about WWE, but when there's something that's objectively fun, MJF and CM Punk going at each other and work shooting each other, and you got a Miz reference, you got a Triple H reference, you got a Cena reference, and then I heard somebody talking on a different podcast about how if the insults are Miz and Cena and Triple H, then those aren't really insults because those guys are so successful. It's like, yes, of course those guys are rich, but those are also the guys that have been shoved down people's throats, particularly Cena and Triple H. When Triple H, back in the PW Torch has this thing where you can read from 10 years ago their Raw review from 10 years ago. They would do it every Monday night, so you could read what was happening 10 years ago. And it'd be funny because I was reading it in like 2016. I read it every single Monday because I thought it was funny, and I really wasn't watching then in 2006. And it was all, oh, Triple H wins a handicap match. Oh, Triple H goes over Umaga in like 2.5 minutes. It was like all this shit. It was like, and Wade Keller, who is kind of a, one of the scholarly dudes of pro wrestling. The guy's been doing it for 35 years. He's had the newsletter.
Oh, yeah, him and Meltzer are like 1 and 1A.
Right.
Like Wade Keller's a very reputable journalist.
He is, and he's kind of like the anti-Meltzer because nobody doesn't respect him anymore. Like there's a bunch of Meltzer haters out there.
Sure.
Different conversation. But Wade Keller was always like, why are they doing this with Triple H? Like, what are they doing? Like, he takes up 50% of Monday Night Raw, and he goes over everybody so easily. And now Triple H would probably say, well, I put over Batista 3 times in a row, 3 different pay-per-views. But that's not the way people remember it. Yeah. So, bringing up Triple H, the thing that popped me the most was when MJF said hustle, loyalty, respect.
Woo!
I was like, God damn. I was like,
yeah.
And you know what? PG Punk is a pretty good,
yeah, that's a nice
insult.
Gut punch.
Well, especially after Cena did the whole Punk did the whole Cena, he did 4 out of 5 of the 5 moves of Doom in his match against Eddie Kingston. Just to fuck with people. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I thought MJF it's kind of like George Costanza, where he's sitting down and coming up with comebacks after the fact, the whole jerk store situation. But I thought MJF was going to say, well, at least the Miz main evented WrestleMania, because Punk never got to.
Yeah. Tony Khan, signed 2 Beer Zach.
That was the one I was waiting for too. When Miz came up, I was like, oh well. Yeah, if you really wanted to needle him, that's the one, because apparently that's the one thing that really pushed Punk over the edge. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it being pissed off.
Not everything's about the beefers, but if we're talking about promo of the year, though,
we better be talking about it. It's coming up.
If we're talking about promo of the year, I mean that's a promo for the ages. When because MJF, young guy, he is kind of the chosen one so to speak, in AEW. You can talk about the other guys, too, if you want to, but MJF is the one that they immediately threw in with Chris Jericho, who I was just thinking about this tonight as I was catching up on Rampage from last week. Chris Jericho he lent an air of credibility to AEW right at the beginning, and it was just wind in their sails that they really needed. And
made him the first champion.
And for them to, I mean, he had a fucking 6-month-long thing with Chris Jericho. That's no joke. MJF is going to be around for a long, long, long time.
It's actually my early prediction to take the belt off Page. My early prediction here for 2022. He's taking that title off Page.
But he did not look. He stood up to the moment. He was not deer in the headlights at all. He did not stumble over any of his words. His reactions to CM Punk's jabs were perfect, very heelish. The guy's in character all the time. I can attest to it because he didn't want me to get wing sauce on his scarf. But I'm not going to call it the promo of the year. But goddamn, I mean that was the promo of the year, right? Both guys played their parts perfectly. They just played their parts perfectly, and everything that MJF said. What makes a good promo battle? Because when we talk about promo of the year a lot, usually it's one guy just cutting a promo.
Agreed.
It's very rarely that we even talk about two guys cutting promos on each other.
Agreed.
And this was one for the ages. I mean, no joke. I mean, AEW has given us a lot of great moments in the last year.
Yeah.
And this was a big one.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I was thinking about just the beefers just today because I was like, damn, this is December. I got to start thinking about, who the fuck is going to be on the short list because there's going to be times where we all agree one of these 3 options are going to be on the list, of the short list to vote on or whatever the case may be. I thought I had promo of the year pretty much wrapped up until this shit happened. Now, for me, I have to really honestly think about it.
And the best work shoot promos happen when there is just enough truth in everything that they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, by the end, I'm like, okay, I can't remember who CM Punk was going to wrestle at that point. I'm like, I don't even want this anymore. Bring this little motherfucker back. Let's do this shit right now.
I mean, what more is there to say about it? Zach, do you have anything else to say about it? I mean, it was people asked me to grade it right afterwards, and I was saying, 9 out of 10 just because
it was solid. It was
like I said, in high school, I was never allowed to get A pluses. I could only get A's, so I'm reticent to give anything 10 out of 10 stars or 10 out of 10. But Zach, anything else to say about it?
Only thing I have to say is I think Needle Dick's going to follow MJF around for a little while.
Yeah, because he did it to him again the other night.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
I was about to say they got it. Kenny Omega before he went away. Now they're going to have MJF with Needle Dick. This is going to be a fun feud, man. I just hope they can extend it into 2022, whatever the first big pay-per-view is for them in 2022. That's my hope, that they can get it on a big stage where everybody can kind of sit back and enjoy it and let them have like 20 minutes and just go at it.
Tremendous stuff. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
Let me get my notes here.
I got
Meltzer. If anybody, here we go. I got it. If anybody ever listens to Wrestling Observer Radio, it's like there's like a couple minutes every episode of like Brian just sitting there patiently while Dave says, "Let me get my notes," and he's like, "I got them right here," and he's like, "No, hold on, I've got them." They just sit there.
Not as bad as me.
It pops me every time. There's also a bit where, like, for at least a full year, Meltzer would have a stopwatch that would go off incessantly, like setting a Timex watch. Like,
What, to just you've had like 3 minutes. You need to shut the fuck up now.
It's just like sitting in this office somewhere, and he just doesn't ever.
Oh.
I don't know, it fucking kills me. Yeah, So like, yeah. Anyway.
Act like you ain't got a fucking show to do. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this might be one of those things where after so many times it goes off, you're like, hey, maybe I should get the stopwatch, put it in the other room, turn it off.
It's like a total meme at this point. But anyway, I stalled long enough to find my notes. So there we go. So start off with Alan Angels versus Bryan Danielson. Kind of worried for Bryan Danielson because, you know, Alan Angels ruined Kenny Omega's career last year. So this was a little worrisome. But they had a good match. Danielson sold a good amount for him. Not as much as Punk sold for Moriarty next, but they had a really solid match. Alan Angels is a very solid worker, as we've seen numerous times. And Bryan Danielson has this aura about him, especially as a heel. I think he is just a fantastic heel because he knows wrestling psychology so well. It is not necessarily about shock value that, you know, MJF's a great heel, but him and Bryan Danielson are not the same.
No, not as heels.
So even though MJF's very smart as well, and he's really good with psychology, but Danielson just knows how to work and also still be the same character, right? Like he's doing a little bit of cheap heat, like putting jabs into the crowd. He'll like kind of, you know, mock the crowd a little bit, but he's kind of going back to that heel run, WWE championship heel run where he took it off of AJ in St. Louis there, and he had the hemp belt and everything, and the fans were fickle, right?
Yeah.
He didn't change. The fans changed, right? So he does a really excellent job of just being an ass kicker, but now he's just more cocky about it, and it comes off as heelish. But anyway, he totally tapped him out with a knee bar, and this match was commentated by Hangman Page, although he didn't really say too much. I also have to say, I was very, very stoned for this. I actually had to stop watching. The edibles were way more powerful than I expected. And I mean, I was so stoned. You know, whenever like really stoned, you start like looking into the minutia of things and like you like overanalyze everything, like even like yourself.
No.
And you're like sitting there and you're like, fuck, am I blinking too much? Like, and then like, do people see me blinking right now? Like, and then you can't stop blinking. It's like that level of like stone. It's like I'm watching this and like Paige is sitting there on commentary, and this is just like the beginning of me like over analyzing all of this shit. So anyway, Paige is there. Danielson comes out of the match, the victor, and starts mocking Paige, who gets up to go to the ring, but is stopped by John Silver, who says, "You can't touch Bryan Danielson tonight," which I was confused by. And I was like, am I high? Like, what's going on? Like, why can't they touch?
I thought the same thing, too.
Yeah, I was like, then it was like later clarified. So it was just a little minor storytelling error. So either one of them is going to be suspended, but then John Silver runs to the ring and says, but I can touch him, and he runs down to the ring. Danielson gets out. So anyway, basically we have set this up for next week, John Silver versus Bryan Danielson, which should be fun. And we know that winter is coming for Adam Page and Bryan Danielson. And this is going to be a TV match, and I think it's going to do really well. This is a very exciting matchup because even though Page just got this championship, it's Bryan Danielson. So his first like challenger is arguably like the greatest threat, kayfabe or not, to him losing this championship. Intriguing television, and that is going to be the theme of this 2 count, is all of the little ways that AEW makes for intriguing television. So what do you guys think?
Well, Alan Angels is a fucking really fun wrestler, and so is John Silver. And again, I've never had a problem with those guys as wrestlers. I just and the Dark Order is not what it used to be. I guess really at this point my only problem is that they're still called the Dark Order and they still have a guy named Evil Uno. But I really like this match. Danielson cutting heel promos is just Chef's kiss, man. Just give it all to me. Like, we might talk about Mount Rushmore later, and Danielson really has to start being in the conversation. I mean, he has been around for so long that it's hard to keep him out of the conversation. He has turned those guys, and, you know, this is a willing fan base also. This is a fan base that follows the BFR ethos of you got to boo the heels, and
Totally.
everybody there loves Danielson, but everybody there is part of it, and everybody there understands their part and that they have to boo Danielson, and he's so fucking good at it too. I'm into this storyline. Like, when you talk about long-term storytelling, it doesn't always have to be, you know, you get paid off 6 months from now or paid off 2 years from now, like we did with Omega and Page. It can also be, well, we're going to tell an interesting story for the next 4 weeks, which isn't just these two guys coming out, interfering in each other's matches and cutting promos on each other, which I'm afraid that the Edge and the Miz will turn into.
That's pretty much what it's going to be.
So Page is associated with Dark Order? Well, let's have Danielson run through all the Dark Order, you know? Oh, so MJF hates Jericho? Let's have Jericho run through, the 5 labors of Jericho or whatever it is. You know, this is something that is predictable. The outcome of the match.
Logical.
Yeah, the outcome of the match was never in question. Danielson was going to go over Alan Angels, and that's fine, but give Alan Angels some rub. By the way, this guy has had spectacular matches with 2 of the best wrestlers in the world, if not the 2 best wrestlers in the world.
You stole my thunder there.
Like, the guy can obviously fucking go, so I was way into this.
No, I agree. I was just getting ready to say that Alan Angels it's got to be a trivia question at some point. You know, who's the guy that's that wrestled both Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson in AEW at some point. This is what I expected the match to be. I expected them to make Alan Angels look strong. The one, I guess, irony about this whole thing is now we see the heel running through the face faction when it's usually the opposite way around, when in chase mode, and Bryan Danielson is in chase mode, whether it's face or heel, but typically, traditionally, chase mode is a baby face, and then the heel sets up the barriers in between, point A to point B. Point B, obviously, the title match.
If anybody can make it work, though, it's Bryan Danielson.
Bryan Danielson is making this shit work, and I mean, he literally kicked out Colt Cabana's teeth. Now you got this motherfucker, Alan Angels. He's talking about, I tore his MCL. Even if he didn't, it doesn't matter. It's just that now I'm breaking these jokers on the way to Adam Page.
There is a slight difference in the storytelling, though, in terms of when it's Jericho trying to get through MJF, like, Jericho's struggling to do it. It's like, because he's a babyface,
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson's like, I'm running through these motherfuckers.
For sure.
It's that Marshawn Lynch quote.
And it actually makes them...
Run through motherfucker's mouth.
It makes them very menacing, right? So it actually works in that heel dynamic because, you're putting up these barriers, like barrier defense, right? Like Darth Vader, like, going to have or I guess you're looking baby face, right? Like Luke Skywalker is going to have, some rebel scouts, like, in front of him. They're going to be tearing down these waves before they have, like, this final battle to this barrier defense, and then this menacing heel's just cutting motherfuckers down
also
on his way to you.
Right.
There's something that I thought about tonight while I was watching the Kingston Dante Martin match, and it was WWE has a WWE style of match. Like, every match pretty much goes the same way. It's like, if it's a tag team match, the baby faces always fight from under. They fight from under, and then they turn it on, and then the
Montez Ford gets a hot tag.
Right. There is no AEW style of match. Like, Tony Khan is not all over that shit like Michael P.S. Hayes and Vince McMahon are all over that shit in WWE, from what I've read. It's like they let the wrestlers do whatever the fuck they want to do. And that is a huge difference in terms of watching a match that really doesn't have any
formula.
Well, no, it doesn't have any consequence. Like, the match was never in question. The outcome of the match was never in question with Danielson and Angels.
For sure.
But, man, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
The outcome of the match was never in question with Eddie Kingston and Dante Martin.
No doubt.
But I'll be damned if I'm not going to watch the whole thing because I like watching those guys wrestle. I want to see what those two artists can put together for a 12-minute match. You would never say that about a WWE 12-minute match. You would never do it.
They do things totally different. I will agree with you upon that. The WWE.
I'm an AEW sexual.
Yeah, you have been on Twitter a lot. WWE does it this way, and we were talking about beforehand where the WWE loyalists, the hardcore will always believe that it's charisma first, wrestling second. It's sports entertainment first, wrestling second. It's been done this way for so long. This is the right way to do it because WWE is the biggest and the best and blah, blah, blah. Okay, I get all that. But I'm not going to sit up here and say it's the only way to do business. AEW, I think, for all intents and purposes, has become a viable alternative for the U.S. If people in the United States want to watch one or two things now, because now you have a choice.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Are you telling me that, or not maybe you, but all the WWE sexuals out there, are they telling me that Orange Cassidy is not sports entertainment? Like, that motherfucker is sports entertainment as it gets.
And
to just do the slow boo, boo, and put his hands in his pockets? Come on. That is sports entertainment.
I'll go this far.
And I'm kind of pissed off that we're even using the phrase. Because it's just a Vince phrase.
It is just a Vince phrase. It's something that ultimately, because he didn't want to pay taxes, this is the phrase he wanted to come up with,
or have like athletic commissions
right.
decide what you're going to do.
Right. So it became sports entertainment. Neither here nor there. At the basis, it's all wrestling. If Orange Cassidy became a WWE guy, I guarantee you, a lot of those WWE hardcore guys wouldn't have a word to say.
No, he'd be chasing down the 24/7 title also.
Sure.
And well, here's a fun thought experiment. What if John Cena just said he was all elite? What do you think John Cena's reaction would be first time he walked into a place and John Cena says, "I'm all elite," and then he comes out and cuts a promo?
Good Lord.
It'd be as big as CM Punk's reaction, dude. Like, people would flip out.
Oh, I think he'd get booed.
I don't think so. At first time,
time it would be it would just be such a, if you could keep that under wraps, it would be Hulk Hogan NWO heel turn reaction.
If you could keep it under wraps.
If you could keep it under wraps, I think.
What if they announced that John Cena is going to show up at Winter is Coming? He'd get booed, right?
Yeah, immediately.
I don't
before
think so, man.
Before you even said a word, he would get booed. If you could play, kind of, a theme of his, a parody of his music, shit. Hell, he can come out like Ciampa. Just bring him on out. He'd get booed immediately.
I don't know. I really don't.
You don't think he would get booed off the jump?
I think he would get booed. I thought that Zach was going to agree with me right away, and then Zach giving it pause. Now I'm like, maybe.
They would be on.
That's how much I respect Zach's opinion.
I want you to respect my opinion. It's okay.
I don't. I respect your opinion. You agreed with me.
You know as well as I do. Upon sight, they would be on John Cena. What was that at in the Hammerstein Ballroom when RVD took the title off of him? I can't remember the pay-per-view. He threw the shirt threw out the shirt in the crowd. He kept throwing it back. Threw the shirt out. I mean,
they did that. They did that on Raw for a while though. Like, that was a thing.
It would be on that level. They're already doing with Cody Rhodes. They throwing his belt back at every turn. They kind of booed him on, last night in his hometown. I'm like, dude, you booing Cody at home? Come on, dog.
We'll get to that. Okay. What's next? What's next, Zach?
We had CM Punk versus Lee Moriarty. Yet another commentating team fill in, which makes sense because JR is gone, so they're kind of like furthering storylines and adding depth to these stories by having see folks commentate, their rivals commentate on their matches. So, Lee Moriarty comes out, CM Punk comes out, and then MJF music hits. And Punk stared at him for a long time.
It's like an abnormally long time.
It was like a long time. That was another thing. I was like, am I high, or is he like staring at him for like a really long time?
Both can be true.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's probably see all of the above.
Is Moriarty he's like Chad Gable to me? Like that dude is impressive. Like he's not very big, but he is very technical.
He's lanky in that sense. I think outside of that, I can see Chad Gable.
I bet that Moriarty fought amateur.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would be.
I don't know anything about him, but I watched that whole match and I was like, God damn, this dude's fucking good.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler, and CM Punk gave him a ton of shine. They just, he just sold and sold and sold until they go to sleep, and that was like kind of one of MJF's like digs was he's like he's still in the ring. He's like, look how hard of a time he's having with Lee Moriarty, and he's like, he's basically a rookie. And Excalibur's like, pretty sure he's had more matches than you, Max.
It's like, uh-oh. They're like, shots fired.
I missed that. That's good.
That was another like aspect. So like, I'm like overanalyzing all this shit, and I'm just like, man, I was like, Excalibur has so much credibility, like as an announcer, which is like sorely missing in all of WWE commentators because they're just shills and they're just saying what they're supposed to say in the program lines. But having that credibility of telling it like it is, regardless of the show that's going on, your Gordon Solis and these guys, the Gorilla Monsoons that we grew up with. But yeah, super cool. Punk wins, obviously. And then we get another little promo battle between MJF and Punk. Little promo battle light. Punk had a nice line about him wearing Larry David's pajamas, which total heat magnet. His outfit was ridiculous. I know it's Hanukkah and he's Jewish, but it's just like full on every Jewish thing, candelabras and whatever else.
MJF sold it like he was so offended by that too, which was really good. Which was really good.
Yeah, like he was wearing like the height of fashion or something.
Right.
And then next week they're going to be in Long Island, and MJF says he's going to beat Piper in Portland or CM Punk in Chicago or Brett in Canada, and his fans are going to welcome him home. So we'll see. I don't think that's happening. I think he's going to get booed.
Hey, speaking of Larry David, did you guys see the Curb Your Enthusiasm where Larry David teams up with the Klan member to fool Woody Harrelson?
What the shit?
God damn! It was so fucking good. Man.
Okay, yeah.
It was so.
I'm gonna go ahead and
funny.
say I didn't see that episode.
It was really funny. Trust me. I love this whole segment. Like they shouldn't. I don't mind a little promo light after what they did the week before. Like that's the way it should be. We want to hear MJF talk. The dude can talk. Obviously, Punk is Punk. I thought that this was a perfect segment, Jason.
To me, it was more about just getting Lee Moriarty over, making him look as strong as humanly possible in the loss, which Punk did. From that point, like you guys said, this was more just stoking the fire of the feud between Punk and MJF. Didn't have to be too long. I mean, you gave us a lot, the week before. This was just, a little bit of let's just call it a side dish, to the feud or whatever the case may be. For me, it was more about the match. I wanted to see how they made Lee Moriarty look. And ultimately, like I said, he looked good. And like I said, from that point, Punk and MJF's going to happen. It's just, when and where.
Totally. And, he's going to have to go through Wardlow, as was physically evident, because Punk goes up to him and Wardlow stands in front and essentially asks Wardlow and says, "Is this the hill you want to die on?" Which I thought was a great line. And we're actually going to get that match, because remember, that was written on the Full Gear.
I was just going to say that we do not talk. This was not brought up in our BFR text thread at all. I was just going to say that that on the Full Gear leaked card, it was Punk versus Wardlow.
Yeah. And
yeah,
so,
we took the long way around, but now we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, logical story progression. Tony Khan obviously has a plan. Like, I mean, this dude's Booker of the Year. Like, surprise!
I'll also
like, he's winning Booker of the Year.
I'll also admit that I did a lot of dunking, or not dunking, but I talked a lot of shit on AEW earlier about having so many teams. But man, when you get into the long-term storytelling stuff, it is better to have teams, because then you can do things like CM Punk versus Wardlow before you get to MJF, and it'll make sense. It's the same thing with Dark Order and Adam Page. So once again, I'm wrong.
I'll just say this. I kind of agree with what you're saying. I just wish it'd be more, like the Pinnacle. We'll just go with them because we're talking MJF. FTR is kind of like, between like two quote-unquote factions. Whatever the Andrade faction is and the Pinnacle faction is. I just wish you just started to tighten it up a little bit, because, this is who goes with. No, I don't want to see.
I'd rather it be more nebulous, to be honest. Like, these guys get along. Shawn Spears is in the Pinnacle, but Shawn Spears hasn't been seen on TV with MJF in a minute.
The Pinnacle itself doesn't feel like they're an over faction like the Inner Circle is.
All right.
If that
Well,
makes
it's
sense.
kind of like Chaos or LIJ. It's like they're aligned.
It's like New Japan stuff. It is.
Think of like how many people are in Taguchi. Not Suzuki-gun, but like in Taguchi-gun, right?
Right.
I mean, like Tanahashi's in Taguchi-gun, but if you ask somebody like, what faction's Tanahashi in? They're like, fuck, I don't know. But he's in Taguchi-gun. So anyway.
Now, the next part on AEW Dynamite popped me the hardest.
Dude, this killed me. Let me see if it's the same thing. So Adam Cole comes out, goes all the way down to the fucking ring, does his Adam Cole baby, and walks back up.
That's right, goddammit. You respect my authority. I'm Adam Cole. Okay.
I fucking died. Is that what it was?
That's what it was, yeah. It was so great.
God.
He goes down, does the whole thing, and then he just walks right back up.
Look, man, I'm as over as I've been any place else. Chill the fuck out. I'm going to be champ at some point. That's to me is what I took that from, because a lot of social, at least Twitter was just like, why are they, booking Adam Cole like, blah, blah, blah. Look, man, Adam Cole can go anywhere.
Also, Orange Cassidy doing his slow kicks to each of the Bucks, and then Adam Cole being like, fuck that, low blow.
Just let's say, I'm through playing.
Real quick, again, overanalyzing. So, like, they come out, the fucking Orange Cassidy's music hits. He comes out and he looks over at Adam Cole, and like they're just feet away from each other. And Adam Cole's like, "Is he looking at me?" And Adam Cole the entire time is looking dead at Orange Cassidy, like right in the fucking eyes. And he's like, "Is he looking at me?" He's looking at me. Are you looking at me? And like, the whole time he's looking at him, and he's like, "Son of a," and he just like takes off his headset. And actually, even before that, another little detail, like, they sit down and Shivani says, like, happy to have you here, Cole. And he's like, don't pretend.
Okay.
Because, like, Adam Cole doesn't like Tony Schiavone because he's friends with his wife.
Right.
And Tony
shit,
just,
man.
I mean, can't stand, Adam. Anytime Adam Cole comes out, it's just like, MJF, it's immediately, I don't like this dude. You can't stand this motherfucker. Anytime he get a dig on Adam Cole, MJF, or anybody else, that's why I like Shivani in this mix, because Shivani is just like zero fucks given. Okay, I will scream, this is Sting when Sting comes out. I will run down MJF at any given point. Motherfuckers don't give two shits. I love it.
Clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy not kicking on all cylinders. He does his thing, and then gets low blowed. The Bucks then completely mock his gimmick, which they are just absolute heat magnets. Another example of just dudes that are so much better as heels. Like, Nick is so fucking great with his chain that goes from his ear to his nose.
Come on, man.
And his stupid hair. Like, he started out with this, like, auburn hair, and then they dyed it pink for the Full Gear, and they just always have, like, they're wearing rompers and shit. They're just fucking so good at what they do.
Now,
this
which
sets up,
one? Now, which one is Nick? Is he the black guy that says "What's up," or is he the white guy that says "What's up"?
Oh man,
You ain't shit, dog.
he's
Swear
the
to God.
orange guy that says "Super Kick Party"
Right.
or "Merch Freak."
I'm dead,
Merch
dude.
Freak's actually really funny. Nick
Yeah.
Jackson is hilarious. If you watch BTE, he's legit the best thing about BTE. Which I mean, he's created it, so it makes
Yeah, he
sense.
should be the best at.
Dude, then we had, this is the saddest thing on the entire show. Like, because I was so high, my empathy levels were just jacked. And Wardlow comes out to face this jobber, AC Adams.
Woof.
Jesus Christ. Like, just absolute squash, which you knew it was going to be a squash, but he powerbombed him 4 times and then pinned him. And then fucking Sean Spears comes in and beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh boy,
I
on
was
his
like, oh
paycheck
my
that
God.
night.
I gotta stop you here because you skipped one thing that happened on Rampage that they replayed. But Tony Nese did come out and called out Sammy Guevara, and Sammy Guevara got in his face, and Tony Nese said, it's an open challenge. I challenge you." They shook hands, and then Tony Nese cheap shotted them. I just want to put that out there because I've been a big Tony Nese guy. I thought he was always really good. Like, remember on this podcast when we used to watch 205 Live and talk
Yes,
about
sir.
it?
Yes,
it was
sir.
a long time ago.
Yes, sir.
But I do like
That's
Tony Nese.
wild.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
He shook.
Yeah.
They shook hands right-handed, and I was shaking my hand like Tony Nese's left-handed.
Yeah, I know.
Yuck! I'm like, God damn it, Sammy! Come on. We just had a whole conversation about doing homework and knowing who the opponent is. You don't know who Tony Nese is? I bet you know who he is now. Where he's got your knee on his motherfucking ribs and shit. I'm looking forward to Tony Nese and Sammy Guevara. I haven't seen any Tony Nese on Dark or Dark Elevation, but I'm sure he's just as good, just as crisp as he was at 205 or any time in WWE. That should be a good ass match on Rampage tomorrow night.
Yeah, he's a more than competent worker. He's a good worker. And he's got a great physique, obviously. And I think the one thing that people shit on him for in WWE was that he didn't really have not a lot of his personality came out. He was just a good looking dude,
Right.
like solid worker. But if you said
He had
like,
no
who is
charisma.
Tony Nese? But like he seems to have charisma, like as a person. So I think just being like free, just whenever he was given that little bit, like just breaking down like how I'm gonna beat Sammy Guevara, right? Like it was not over the top, like awesome, but it was completely serviceable.
But that's what WWE
logical.
needs for their superstars, or their fans want, these over the top, bigger than life superstars. Tony Nese, God bless him, that ain't him. Like you said, in that AEW promo before Sammy Guevara came out and got that work, that's who Tony Nese is, and that's playing to his strengths. WWE doesn't play to individual strengths. They're like, okay, this is the system. Fit this system, or you're going to get ready to get bounced. And even if you fit the system, we can bounce you at any given point. AEW is just basically like, go ahead, Tony. Here's your 2 minutes to, say what you need to say. And to me, it was, like you said, it was perfect just in the sense that it was who I expect Tony Nese to be. You know what I'm saying? Versus, who they want Tony Nese to be, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. He just gave us a very logical story to the match. Like, we already have a story. It almost reminded me, like, what John Moxley would do, like, call your shot. Like, I'm going to break your fucking arm.
Yep.
And then he goes in there and breaks his
fucking
arm.
arm.
I'm sure they're going to work those ribs in that match.
Yeah.
It's going to
as
happen.
he should. And then I think ultimately, if Sammy Guevara isn't over, that's just going to give him more of a babyface layer of just getting over. He's going to have to fight through injury to defend the TNT title. In this case, the injury is the ribs. He's going to have some tough matches. They're going to go after the ribs. They're going to get taped up more and more. Somebody eventually will beat him, and that person is going to get all kinds of heat for it. And that's how it's supposed to work.
At the risk, I know that I've gone fully over to the AEW side these days. But
it's good to know. It's good to actually you guys admit that.
But this is an example of how AEW.
Shit.
Oh, Vice is on his way. There's Vice.
Christmas has come early, boys and girls.
But this is a great example about how AEW can keep adding guys and keep making guys feel relevant. Like, everybody doesn't have to be there all the time. Everybody doesn't have to be on every single show to be relevant. You know what I mean? Like, they're adding Tony Nese. I loved when Sammy Guevara was like, oh, here we go, another fucking new guy. Another new guy talking shit, you know?
Right. No, which is, and that's that's a perfect thing, because I've said this multiple times ad nauseum. AEW is getting to the point where they don't need to be signing anybody else. So, I mean, for Sammy Guevara to come out and look at Tony Nese and just immediately run him down, like, okay, the new guy's talking shit, that's fucking perfect. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. For this point, yeah.
Challenge, he's the gatekeeper, you know.
For this point, for like the mid card, for sure, because this is going to be the guy. Ultimately, when Sammy Guevara drops it, he's going to have to move up. Now, how you figure that out, good luck with that, but that's another story for another time. As it stands right now,
MJF will have the title. And
no.
Beef.
No, I agree with you on that. And I'm not going to sit up here and jump on the page, drops it to MJF bandwagon. In the immortal words of Bill, I'll say my normal line. Let's see how this shit plays out. That's more for AEW than it is for WWE before you start giving me shit.
That's
about
my
this.
line?
No, you say, you want to see how it plays out? You want to see how it plays out? I usually say that about AEW. WWE, you pretty much know how this is going to play out, even if it's Roman Reigns up to this point.
Sure.
It's going to happen, and then they're going to move on, and somebody's going to forget that it ever happened before. That's how WWE would do it. But moving on. We had a Penta Pack promo. Phoenix had some travel issues, wasn't going to make it, so they're going to be wrestling. Pac's going to take his place in the match on Rampage, and they are still wrestling at Triple Mania for the title. So Penta and Phoenix versus FTR for the AAA title. So Triple Mania is coming up. Is that this weekend as well?
I don't think it is. I think it's the following weekend, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah,
that's more
it's available
Jason's
in the United States.
No, I was going to say I think it's next weekend. I was going to say I want to see that how they fill the AAA title match, because they're bringing in guys from outside or whatever the case may be. So that should be good as well. 5-6 way.
Lethal's in it.
Yeah,
yeah.
All kinds. See that? Just a sidebar for 30 seconds.
Big match.
I like the fact. I shouldn't say I like the fact, but I hate that ROH, closed its doors. But I like how ROH talent is kind of slowly but surely integrating into other promotions. The Briscoes won the GCW tag titles. You got Lethal in AEW, but then he's going down to AAA to do Triple Mania or whatever the case may be. This is ROH going down is not the worst thing in the world, because I think like I said before, a lot of these guys are going to get other work. It's just now
not all of them.
The upper echelon is going to get theirs. They're going to get theirs. Now, like Beer City Bruiser, okay, he might
Cheeseburger.
have to. Why is this kept? Cheeseburger has been around the world.
I like Cheeseburger.
He's been in New Japan. He's been in Mexico. He'll be fine.
I like Silas Young a lot.
Very underrated.
Honestly,
he'll be fine.
All this stuff is good for the independent scene, right?
Right.
NXT almost killed the independent scene, and it's funny how this is happening at the same time as NXT's shifting its concept. So
it's perfect.
It kind of works out because these guys can then go back to the game. It's like, I'm really looking forward. Like here in February, I'm thinking about getting tickets. We got Malachi Black versus Jesus Christ. I don't know. There's a star-studded show in Portland in February, and it's awesome because this wouldn't be happening if there wasn't so much talent available.
Okay.
And I think that's going to be throughout the entire country, so that's pretty dope.
What was next on Dynamite?
Sting and Darby Allin versus the Gun Club. Again, just little things, man. Like, I know the Gun Club has been just running through people in Dark and stuff for the most part, and Dark Elevation. But, like, they're an undefeated tag team, right? They have, like, a ton of wins under their belt.
Billy Gunn
Sting and Darby Allin
looks insane, dude.
I mean,
He looks
what the fuck?
insane. He is so
insane.
jacked.
I'm like,
How old is that motherfucker?
He's in his mid-50s.
He's got to be.
Yeah. So the combined
I mean,
age of
he
Sting
looks
and Billy Gunn
crazy.
is like 120 years.
Right. Between him and Sting was like easily over 100 years old in the ring right there. And they both pulled that shit off. I was giggling to myself because they're like, both teams are undefeated. I'm like, man, if this was like a fucking Jeopardy question, be like, the Gun Club and Sting and Darby have this in common. Man, look, I'd have been sitting there like, what is length of age? I'd have never guessed they were undefeated.
He just turned 58.
Jesus Christ.
50.
Yeah, that's nuts.
He looks.
Yeah, 120 years.
Yeah, he looks
He's doing a
fucking
bodybuilding
insane,
competition.
dude.
Okay. The match I thought was good.
Also, one of the worst regular names in pro wrestling history, Monty Sop.
Yeah, I would change that shit to Billy Gunn too, real quick.
Yeah. And it's funny because he goes by Kip.
Yeah, right.
even
Yeah,
like,
he goes by,
Kip
it
Sop.
says Monty Kip Sop, man. God damn, Zach's on top of shit.
But yeah, this match, I was like so into this match because like Sting and Darby Allin were undefeated on the upper end of the card, right? They're at the top as far as like protected dudes in AEW, like they're up there, and Darby is just going all out, and the psychology of this match was great because Sting tags in, so they tag in Billy Gunn. And these guys face off, and they're both tall dudes, and Billy Gunn is taller than Sting, and they just start going off, and I'm like, who's gonna bump for who? I'm like, two fucking old dudes in here. I'm like, they're both like really into it. I was like, who's gonna bump? And Sting starts throwing his chops, and I'm like, Billy's going down. He bumps hard for Sting, and Darby's doing these topes. Like one tope he landed on his head, and then like the second tope. He hit Billy Gunn.
Damn near
spun.
reckless.
I mean, he just spun. I watched it 30 times. I'm not even exaggerating.
The one that happened on the
spun.
Dynamite that we didn't talk about because we didn't have a show
that
left.
week, yeah. He came in hot.
Dude, that looked violent.
Okay. Both weeks, he's come in to the point where I was just like, oh. Last night I was watching it. I was at Tinder's apartment or whatever. And we were watching that shit. He came in hot on Austin Gunn. I'm like, God damn. I mean, to the point where I like to be entertained, but not at the expense of, breaking necks or going into the first or second
you never
row.
watched Faces of Death?
Oh man! I will say there was a great like near pinfall here where Austin had come in and sucker punched Sting behind the ref, and I was like, oh my god, I'm like, they're actually gonna pin Sting because like that was like the last thing that I thought was gonna happen. And I mean, they worked me like real hard, and
Has Sting been pinned?
Had a nice kick out. No,
I'll say this: like in the holiday tradition of me admitting that I'm wrong a whole lot.
Damn, this was me like a few weeks ago. I was pretty banged up that night. So.
I've also been wrong about AEW with the way that they booked and presented Sting. I've been wrong about it. Like Sting, like they have protected him. He hasn't had to do that much.
No.
He's clearly having fun doing it, which makes me have fun as a viewer, and he's gotten Darby Allin over even more, which even though Darby Allin's not my dog.
I don't know. Is that possible? I thought he was pretty over by the time Sting just walked in the door.
No, he's made pretty much for the next 10 years just by his association with Sting.
Yeah, he really blew him up.
No. I mean, if
I could be
AEW,
wrong.
No, if AEW is here for hopefully the next 10 years, I see what you're saying. It would make sense.
Also, new face paint. I didn't even mention the new face paint. That was dope. So
you have to bring that up. I was trying to give you a win, man. Now you're talking about face paint.
Yeah, well, I'm still Sting Mark at heart. Like
He's painting the other side of his face now, huh?
I'm wearing a 25-year-old T-shirt for that right now. So that's how fat of a kid I was. I still fit into it.
You know, I got that shit that you wipe on your infant's butt that gets all white. What's it called? Desinex? Yeah, I just wipe it, and I just wipe one side of her butt, and I'm like, looks like Darby. I don't know. I got to put the other side on. And then I'm like, that looks like Darby. That looks like Sting. And then I just let her sit there and cry for the next 5 hours. I go do a bunch of 99 shots.
Bananas. Sting did get a "You Still Got It" chant, which, I mean, I don't think anything's going to make you feel older than getting a "You Still Got It" chant.
Yeah, it's offensive.
Oh,
he's still in his 60s, so, I mean, it is what it is.
He is in his 60s.
Motherfuckers here.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm a Sting Mark now. I'm just saying I like the way that AEW has used him, and I don't hate him as much as I used to.
Wow. 2021, man, in wrestling. I say it all the time on Twitter. It is so weird. It is the weirdest year ever.
I just never want you guys to tell me that I can never admit when I was wrong, because I can admit when I'm wrong. I can, and I feel like you can too, and I feel like Zach can too.
Under duress.
Under duress.
This better be some Goodfellas shit. Henry, you cracking under pressure?
All right, what's next, Zach?
Jericho and 2.0. So Jericho has, and it makes sense, Moxley's out, Eddie having a tag team partner kind of makes sense for Jericho. For me, it kind of seems like Jericho, I don't know this, but I'm just thinking in my head, Jericho's like politicking. He's like, man, Eddie Kingston's real hot right now. I'm going to stay relevant. Hey, Tony, what do you think about pairing me up with Eddie, against 2.0, just to stay relevant, right?
I think it's Jericho. The opposite.
Like,
I think it's the opposite way. I think Tony Khan is being like, man, Eddie's hot. Let's put you with Jericho.
That could be. I'm just being more cynical about it. But either way, it's good and entertaining. But Jericho took a total beatdown. 2.0, beats him down with a chair, puts him up against the steel door, smashes a chair in his face. So really kind of puts him down. Kind of wonder where's the inner circle? Where's your boys?
Ding, 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 ding.
A little more of these backstage beatdown segments than there have been, but it's kind of all centered around one group. It's really 2.0 is the backstage beatdowners. That's kind of what they do now. Through Coffee and Eddie Kingston's face last week. Oh, fucking brilliant. They're like, you're not hungry enough, Eddie. He's like, I want this cake. Thanks to his coffee in his face.
Eddie wasn't fucking around with this cake, man. Hurry up so I can finish.
I'm an Eddie Kingston mark, dude. I want to see Eddie
so
Kingston
good.
and Kevin Owens fight in a grease fire match. So which one can survive their bellies rubbing against each other?
Jesus Christ, dude. What the fuck?
we might be able to see it in a couple months. Who knows?
Come on, man. Let's say first things first. Let KO
amazing.
finish out his WWE contract. I mean, goddamn. Y'all motherfuckers jumping the gun.
I love Eddie Kingston.
Just imagine, Eddie Kingston's great. Dude, 2.0 has been awesome. Like,
They have. Yeah.
for what they do, they're like, dude, can you imagine? Like, the whole joke was like, I didn't even know who Everrise was.
Right.
I was like, you could put anybody. I could never pick them out of a lineup.
They're supposed to be
And then-
pest heels, and they're pest heels.
Okay, but here's kind of here's my problem, I guess, and this is just me nitpicking about this whole thing, and it goes back to my initial point about just, factions and groups and so on and so forth. This should be at least the Pinnacle doing some stuff like this, or I don't know. It feels like a lot of these factions aren't doing what I think they should be doing. They're not concise. You don't know who's with who. And then on that point, I don't have a problem with, splitting them off and, doing angles off of that shit. That's what you're supposed to do.
So you're asking where is LAX?
Hell yeah. I mean, damn. It's like 6 motherfuckers in the inner circle and none of you motherfuckers are there? Nobody can come help Jericho?
Well,
Nobody.
They're celebrating Thanksgiving.
Man, kiss my narrow ass. Fuck that. That was the week beforehand.
I know how much. Well, Mexicans really love Thanksgiving. It's a big thing for them.
I'm not even going to.
Is that true?
No, not at all. No, they're not American. They're Mexican.
I know, but that'd be weird. I mean, like, Americans just love celebrating genocide. That's the only reason. Like, we just eat it up, literally. Like, just fucking eat.
That's why I'm listening to that Rise and Fall of the Third Reich novel. Team
All right,
Tag.
so, moving on. Yes, this is kind of where, dude, this is where I turned it off for a minute because, like I said, these edibles kicked in and they were just ramping up. And, like, I just got to the point where I couldn't sit still.
Hey, man, this is pretty good for about, some good edibles, an hour and a half in. That's not half bad.
Yeah, it was just an exercise in willpower here. And I was really enjoying myself. And then I just got really uncomfortable at this segment because, like, I just didn't know what was going on. Like, Taz is there, and then you just have Hook and Hobbs, like, standing behind him. Like, I know you see guys on TV. But, like, I was just very confused because, like, he's doing commentary and he starts doing Steiner math. And he's got
that was on purpose, though.
I know it was perfect, though. I immediately started laughing.
It was good.
Like, dude, God damn, what the fuck? This is Steiner math. Taz, what are you doing?
I'd like to talk about Leo Rush.
Yeah, so that happens. So they're standing there. Leo Rush comes out, and this is, like, I don't know what it was. He was just doing the whole, like, I'm a fighter. And it was like, this was, like, very much after school special.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, he's like, I'm a fighter and you guys are bullies.
No matter what's going to happen, I'm going to go ahead and, we're going to do this damn thing.
Yeah, but the first thing he said to Taz was, hey, you're an announcer. You say you don't know who I am. You're supposed to know
that's
who I am.
your job.
Yes,
that's your job.
That was a great line.
It's your job to know me. That was a great line.
Yes.
I loved it.
Called him out.
But then Dante Martin comes out and he, like, starts fist bumping with Team Taz, like, looking Leo Rush right in the eye. That's where it got real after school special. And I just got weirded out.
Okay.
And it's not really anything. I was just too high.
What do you think? What do you think is going to happen out of this? I have my guess. What do you think is going to happen?
It's almost like I think it's a red herring. I don't think Dante's with Leo Rush. I think it's maybe more of a infiltrate and kind of take them apart from within. But I do think this is another way to elevate Dante Martin outside of just being in matches, because he's obviously fantastically athletic and he's going to get over. But he needs work. He's got to promo. If you're going to be a total complete wrestler and a complete package, you can't just be this dynamic guy in a ring. You got to be able to be involved in these more complex, like, stories and be able to talk. And he's got Leo talking for him, and he hasn't said anything. And I think obviously that's on purpose, but it's kind of building up like we want to hear from Dante, right? So instead of just Dante coming out and saying some shit and maybe not being, like, super great at it, we're getting to a point. They're building us up to where we want to hear from Dante Martin. I want to hear what Dante Martin has to say about this. And I think it's intriguing storytelling. It makes me want to watch and see what happens next. And that's what you want for weekly subsequent viewers. I think it's great.
I kind of have a different view of it. My view of it is that they've taken Dante Martin away from Leo Rush because Leo Rush shouldn't be a manager. Leo Rush should be his own guy. Leo Rush needs to be a wrestler. Leo Rush needs to challenge for the Cruiserweight title or the TNT title or the whatever.
I was thinking they needed the Cruiserweight title. Yeah, I was going to say that's crazy.
I'm saying that Leo Rush needs to be his own man because Leo Rush is a guy that can represent himself. And just because you're so good at talking when you're 26 years old doesn't mean that you should be a manager. It means that you need to be talking for yourself and wrestling for yourself. I'm a Leo Rush mark.
26, is he?
Oh, I mean, he might be 27, I guess. I mean, when he was Bobby. I thought when he was Bobby Lashley's dude, he was 24 or something.
That's crazy.
27, wow. I mean, it's just because he's retired so many times,
Right.
and that's not a dig. But
Well,
I mean,
I mean,
Taz, he's like, you need to retire, and I was like, oh man.
I was going to say
He was born November 11, 1994. He just turned 27.
That's insane because he is so fantastic in the ring, and I've known about him for a long time.
Yeah,
he's
crazy.
Early, so.
Well, when he signed to NXT, there were people, and you couldn't tell if it was a shoot or a work on Twitter, but they were like, this guy's an asshole backstage. He pisses everybody off. But he was also on The Challenge, which me, Jay Bell, and Vice all watch, and he didn't seem like an asshole at all. He seemed,
ultimately,
Vice said he seemed
agree.
underwhelming. Yeah,
for a WWE superstar,
he was
I
not.
expected
He was
him
not
to kind
a
of leap
big
off the stage
personality or at all. So, I don't mind if they take Dante Martin away from him as long as they make him his own man. Like, I'd love to see him and Sammy Guevara do 20 minutes. Like, that sounds fucking tight.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. See, that's where I'll piggyback on what you just said. That's a two-part thing. Number one, if there's another title that needs to be added to the AEW roster, it's a cruiserweight title of some sort. You can, especially with this open door. Before trios. I'll go that far. Because if I thought they would do factions, the way I want them to do, this is who is in Death Triangle. This is who is in, the Pinnacle. You got the Inner Circle, blah, blah, blah. You can do it.
I don't think it's that ephemeral. Like, I mean, if you ask me what the factions were, I feel like I could write them all down and a map.
Okay.
How everybody's connected.
I guess better choice of words. They're not booking them the way that I think they probably should be. FTR is to me the one that goes from back to forth. Then from that point down, my next problem with how they're booking is Andrade and Malachi Black, or are they affiliate? Are they not affiliate? Is it who's the House of Black? Blah blah blah. If it was me, I would go cruiserweights first because it feels like you can do that at any given point. You can do that right now. Trios titles feels like it's not necessarily a priority to AEW.
They're so loaded up with talent, though, that just have them both.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing.
The more
with
belts, the better. I've always said it.
So what you're saying is you're a body shamer. I get
it. Hey, that's Joe Gacy, man. Back the fuck up off me.
We can talk about Joe Gacy.
I'll say that ain't
so
me,
then
man.
We had,
I'm a fan.
Quarterfinals of the the TBS Women's Championship. Chris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Pretty compelling match, even though I think we knew who was going to win. I really like Chris Statlander, and at the end of it, even despite the loss, they said, they kind of, put it out there like she will get her shot because she will. Like, this is not the end of the road for Chris Statlander. This is just a bump along said road, and she will be competing for this title in the future. But, I don't have anything like overarching to say about this. Maybe because I watched it whenever I was sober, because like I said, I had turned it off.
I mean, I think that Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero are a good team. I wish that Vicky Guerrero was on AEW television more, to be honest. Like, they
kind of dropped the ball with this one, I think that Vicky is, you just said it, she is a heat magnet. And if you really, really, really wanted to push Nyla Rose, you put the right person next to her, but they, for whatever reason, whether it's Britt, whether it's Ruby Soho, Chris Statlander, fill in the blank.
Not only is she a heat magnet, she is fucking talent, man. Like, Vicky Guerrero gets it. She gets what the business is, and she is there to put people over. She gets people over. Baby faces, heels, whoever she's with, whoever they're wrestling against, she gets people fucking over. I think that you could argue that Edge wouldn't be as over in his singles career if Vicky Guerrero wasn't there.
Would you? No, I say you didn't even watch this shit.
I wasn't watching, so I can't say it.
Oh, Vice is asking me, would I? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Vicky?
Sure.
Okay.
Equal
Put it in
opportunity.
the-
I'm not a
Hey,
racist.
Hey,
I'm not a fucking racist.
I know you. Clearly, you're not a racist, motherfucker. I mean, goddamn. I mean, if you are, give me like 15 seconds to the car before you call the guy.
And then we got to talk about this main event. The main event was
Jesus.
bonkers.
If you want to, I was thinking
watch
otherworldly.
Andrade versus Cody? Oh, dude, this shit was bonkers. Tell us about it, Zach.
Cody's in his hometown and gets booed from the jump.
No. I thought it was mixed.
Oh, it's definitely mixed. I'm not saying it was full booze. No, I'm just saying like there were boos. Yeah, you're right. It was totally mixed. But these guys were going to town. And obviously last time they were in Atlanta, Cody did the moonsault off the top of the cage onto Wardlow. He wanted to one-up himself. So he's like, we're going to put T-Pain at ringside and I'm going to juice and I'm going to go through a table of fire.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
but there was, this was definitely, your classic street fight, and these guys went hard on each other, and they had, beef, like, so it wasn't just like out of nowhere, just to pop a crowd. Like, they've been feuding for a while, like, and Cody's underneath the ring, and he pulls out a sledgehammer. And the symbolism is absolutely perfect. And he just tosses it aside. It's like, nah. It's like, we don't fucking keep
You
that
threw that shit
Like,
away. I'm
that
like,
ain't
man,
me.
you ain't shit, man. Keep that motherfucker, man. Work with that. That's what you need to do.
And then, second thing, he pulls out a golden shovel.
The
I'm like,
golden
dude, I'm
shovel.
done.
Oh, my
To bury
God.
talent.
I'm like, dude, I'm done.
Absolutely killed me. It was so perfect. Like, so smart.
Why are you not a heel, man? Come on.
But he's had the golden shovel before, though, right?
done to him.
Oh, he hasn't used it himself?
This is the first time that I can think of in AEW.
I thought he pulled it out to...
When he first came out, the very first time, All In Chicago 2 years ago, before AEW was a thing, he smashed the fucking, the throne that was with a sledgehammer.
With the golden shovel?
No, it was a sledgehammer.
No,
This
it
is
was
the
a
first
sledgehammer.
time that I can remember that he came out with a shovel.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
the
thought
golden shovel thing would seem new to me.
That was new?
At
Oh.
least as
Dude,
far as,
like I said, when he came out with that, I was literally on the ground. Joey was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Dude, this is the fucking funniest thing I've seen in a hot minute." It was perfect. Now I'm like, dude, why
Now,
are you not going heel?
This is what we go back to with the MJF Punk promo, though, is that, like, you have to acknowledge, like, everybody in the room knows that WWE exists. Everybody in the room knows what burying means in terms of wrestling. So a golden shovel is pretty funny.
When
That
Cody
is
is
funny.
doing it to Andrade, who's been accused of it in WWE, and
Yeah,
now,
but it would have worked out better if Andrade would have gone over.
okay, but look, another story.
No
for another
argument
time.
with that,
No
right?
argument with that. No argument with that.
Because Cody goes over. Well, Zach, you tell us.
yeah, so, they pull out a table. A hooded figure comes out. Hood comes down. It's Brandy. Also mixed reactions. Lots of boos. Lots of cheers. She sprays lighter fluid all over this thing, lights it on fire, and then they're in a super rush to get through this table. And Cody's got flame retardant shit all over his back that he's been wrestling with all match. Because you saw stuff on his back. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It looked like he had like a sunburn and his skin was all peeling off. So now we finally understood why.
I didn't understand what that was until just now. I didn't get
Yeah.
that.
So,
It
I
looked like he
didn't-
was peeling.
yeah.
They,
so I
they
didn't get
said
it
something
until
on commentary. It was like, oh no, maybe it was something that the trash that was thrown on him. It's the trash on his back. I'm like, the trash on his back. I'm like, dude, look, I've been sunburned one time in my life. That looks like sunburn to me. Hey, look,
When at birth?
no, true. They messing with me, Reba. That's fucked up. Get my back. True story. One time when I got sunburned, I was on the Arizona, like it was the Snake River. We were floating on the river. He was like, Jason, you're getting purple. Jason getting purple. He's like, you should put some suntan lotion on. I'm like, man, look, I'm black. Black people don't get sunburned. Man,
Not true.
I got on that flight, man. My skin was peeling. That shit was hot to the motherfucker. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Sunburn like nobody's business. That shit was brutal. It was, dude. The dude was like, you turned it purple. I'm like, purple. I splashed some water on my head and my face. I'm like, no, I'm good. Man, apparently that's the worst thing you should be doing at that point.
So Cody's got the flame retardant stuff on his back.
They suplex through the table. Cody takes the bump through the table. Andrade kind of goes over it. Cody's rolling around in the fire. The kind of flaps of the flame retardant stuff are on fire.
On fire.
Andrade's like slapping them out on Cody's back as he's getting a 3 count.
Incredible.
Yeah. But, got to go out with a bang.
No, that's doing too much.
What they wanted.
No, that's doing too much, man. As soon as Brandy came out, I'm like, okay, this is shit's getting ready to go left. She started to bring out the lighter fluid. I'm like, man, this is some mankind shit. What the fuck is
I'm telling you, I watched that whole match today, and if
you're doing too much.
If the referee would not have put out the fire, because how bad was it going to hurt him any more than it already had? And if Andrade wasn't trying to slap out the other fire on Cody's back, if they just would have let him pin Andrade while he had 2 flames coming off his back, it would have been the baddest ass thing. I'm not saying, like, I know that they were trying to be safe.
Don't encourage him. Sit your ass down.
It's not a thing where I don't want them to not be safe and shit like that. I'm not fucking New Jack.
What did you just get finished saying?
I'm just saying, if they would have let Cody pin Andrade while
with flames coming out of God knows everywhere.
But Zach, back me up though. They were only like 5 seconds away from doing that though. They could have done it very easily. Like the referee put fires out before he counted to 3, which I know they're being safe, but it would have been an all-time picture. Just an all-time picture.
I'm actually just flabbergasted because for the past 3+ years, I thought I was doing this podcast with New Jack.
But thank you.
No, you're right, though. I think it would have made for an excellent visual.
Come on, man. So let's not worry about the 2nd or 3rd degree possible burns on Cody Rhodes. Let's not worry about the fact that Andrade might have gotten his eyes, taken out by this fire.
Could be the funniest thing Zach's ever said. Could be the funniest thing Zach's ever said on this podcast. Could be the funniest thing.
I mean, Bill's like, no, fuck this shit. Fuck public safety. Go ahead and count 3.
No,
count to 3.
It wasn't a public safety thing. They could have let it burn for 3 more seconds. The referee could have gone 1, 2, 3, and the shit could have burned on his back, and it would have been an all-time poster. Just an all. Not that they still can't do it. Anyway, AEW fucking rules. It was a great Dynamite. Let's get to that 3 count.
It was just a great Dynamite.
Yes, I agree completely, man. It was a fucking great Dynamite.
Oh my God.
It was. It was a great Rampage too, man. We don't even have to talk about Eddie Kingston versus Dante Martin, which is also really good. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish.
Garcia?
Oh yeah, I wrote down Dante Martin. Sorry, Daniel Garcia. Adam Cole and Bobby Fish versus Orange Cassidy and Wheeler, Utah. Wheeler,
Utah.
That's what I call him. I'm not calling him Utah. What do you call him?
By his name. Mama called him Quay. I'm going to call him Clay. That's weird with Utah. Okay? You over here disrespecting that man's name.
I'm not down with the hip-hop culture. Let's get to the 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so let's talk about some main roster WWE stuff before we get to NXT and our predictions. The main roster NXT stuff. Well, I'll just skip to my favorite part. There was a battle royal where Sami Zayn ends up winning. Jeff Hardy thinks he's won, and then Sami Zayn throws him over. Sami Zayn celebrates, and then Caleb Braxton comes out and says that Brock Lesnar is going to be back next week. My favorite part about this was when it shot to Roman Reigns and the Usos backstage, and they were laughing.
That part was funny as fuck.
At Sami Zayn winning the number one contender.
That part was funny as fuck.
Perfect shit. What do you think about that,
You know what's funny?
Zach?
I actually hated that because Sami Zayn has the potential to be. I know he's a heel right now, but he has the potential to be like the top babyface, like in any company.
Sure,
and
that can still happen. Maybe that's why
they
they were doing it.
I can tell you where it ain't gonna happen. We can start there.
They just made him look like a complete joke, and WWE is good at one thing, and that is making motherfuckers look like complete jokes. And even though he won this battle royal, he looks like a complete joke.
No.
And it's not like the Roman Reigns. It's not like Roman Reigns being super confident, right? It's different because like we're also supposed to laugh along because Sami's been kind of a goofy heel for like a really long time. Even when he had the Intercontinental title, he was kind of a chicken shit heel.
I mean, he still is a goofy heel. Sami Zayn's not going to take the belt off of Roman Reigns.
No.
So we should laugh at it,
doesn't make
right?
for compelling television. Like,
of course not.
Why do I want to see that match? Like,
you don't.
I want to see a match. Yeah, exactly. I want to see. They don't have anybody. It's like you got to build people up, and I know that they do it like kind of slowly for like one person at a time. Like it was Bobby Lashley for a long time, right? Like Bobby Lashley. Remember we were talking to me like,
well, now
hey,
it's
Bobby
like
Lashley.
Now it's McIntyre, and it's been 18 months.
Well, I would actually argue like Damian Priest. It's like this guy just quietly always wins his matches, and they don't really talk about it. Same thing like Bobby Lashley. He was United States champion, and he just kind of quietly won all his matches, and it wasn't like a big deal. And then when you put him against it, it's like, oh, here's a credible contender. It's like they know how to do it, but they only do it with like one person at a time, and then everybody else is like a total joke. They don't have a reason to sell pay-per-views. It's like
Jason, what do you think
regardless.
about it?
Shit, it's a lot to unpack. I thought the Sami Zayn finish was, something I didn't see coming. That's always, check in my book. The problem with it ultimately is when you say Brock Lesnar is coming back, you know how this is going to finish. So this, to me, we were just talking about how AEW does things, different from a formatic.
We're just killing time till Brock gets back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the problem, and Two Beer and I'll piggyback on what Two Beer said. The other problem with this is that you don't have the next contender on deck. Case in point. Okay.
Well, it's Sami Zayn. They do.
They really don't.
Yeah, but they have to put somebody against him for a while. Like, it's never going to be somebody that's...
Okay, so...
Unless you want to damage that person. Like, it could be Drew McIntyre, but then you damage Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
So you might as well have Sami Zayn, right?
You're kind of going on my road of thought, but I was going to go in the women's division. But if you want to stick to the guys, let's stick to the guys for 30 seconds. Okay. I agree with everything you just said. I don't like the fact that you're just feeding Sami Zayn to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar doesn't need to get, a reason.
No, to Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn has to fight Roman Reigns.
No, but Brock Lesnar is going to somehow usurp this. Because either Brock Lesnar has to become the champion.
That's possible, yes.
Either Brock Lesnar becomes the champion, then it's Sami Zayn versus Brock Lesnar, or he has to take the number one contender spot from Sami Zayn. And that's what I expect to see. Now, from that point, whatever happens, happens. If you want to feed Sami Zayn to, Roman Reigns, we've seen this happen already. I'm okay with that. Just make sure it's a good match.
I mean, I'd love to see Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in, like, a good match.
You can do
exactly.
that.
Like,
okay, but if you can do that.
It sounds cool.
But then you're limiting the Brock Lesnar options. Now he has to win the Royal Rumble or he has to beat Roman Reigns on the way to WrestleMania. You don't, not unless you just do some shit that because WWE does it, but realistically you have two options. Sorry, Two Beer, go ahead.
No, it's fine. All I ask is that a credible contender. And like I said, like Sami Zayn has potential to be the top babyface of any company, and you have Roman Reigns, who is your top heel. Like, if this is what you're planning, like, I would be mega interested in this. Like, if this was like the main event of the Royal Rumble, like, can you imagine like a plucky babyface Sami Zayn, NXT era versus like this insurmountable company heel of Roman Reigns? Like, that's an intriguing match.
Yeah,
like,
but okay,
it's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
but it's
the problem
it's
with this
frustrating
is. The problem with this is Sammy, unfortunately, is a little too outspoken about things that WWE doesn't want him to be outspoken about. That's why he doesn't go to fucking Saudi Arabia, okay? We got millions and millions of dollars coming on this deal. And we don't need your big-ass mouth over here fucking some shit up. You can sit your ass over here in fucking America. You can be in our King of the Ring leading up to this bitch, but guess where you ain't going? Saudi Arabia. You ain't fucking up my money. Vince ain't stupid. That's my whole point with this whole thing. Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, guys like that, Kevin Owens to a certain degree, he started off hot in January, and now he's basically getting ready to get jobbed on the way out the door. Vince will tell you, and I say this all the time, he tells you who he likes, he tells you he don't like. And the bottom line is, there's certain motherfuckers he likes. He likes Drew McIntyre. He likes Bobby Lashley. You made sure, you saw how on Survivor Series, you saw how these motherfuckers slide away. They getting counted out by disqualification, or counted out, but whatever, motherfucker, give me a break. You see how motherfuckers get pinned. Liv Morgan, everybody loves Liv Morgan. She got pinned. Tony Storm came out hot. Two fucking pins, and the next thing you know, she gets pinned like Liv Morgan, and then Liv Morgan pins Tony Storm. Sasha Banks. They made sure she didn't get back to the ring. Get the fuck out of here. It's the same fucking shit. People just want to love who they love, and I ain't mad at you for it, but there's a certain point where you motherfuckers need to understand that Vince likes who he likes. That's Roman Reigns. That's Brock Lesnar. That's Drew McIntyre. To a certain level now at this point, it's Big E. As long as you're talking about the guys, that's who he likes. I like Finn Balor, but he's never going to be the top star. Once he got broke, when he won the Universal title, he got broke then. That was it. His high point mark has been on NXT. It's always been on NXT, and there's no way you can even argue about this shit.
Zach, you care to respond?
I mean, I get it. Like, I totally understand it. I can still be angry about it because there's a better way. You know what I mean? It's just, there is a better way, and I can want things to be better because I like pro wrestling, and I want the Kleenex brand or the Windex brand, the Ziploc brand. I want the premium brand to be the premium, and it ain't.
Okay.
And it's like, it sucks.
Your premium brand is AEW, okay? And they are doing an amazing job.
But it's not the premium brand. Like,
why is it not?
So it is to me, but like, whenever I tell people, like in my everyday life, right, like, oh, I like wrestling, they think, oh, you watch WWE, and I'm like, then I have to be like this hipster douchebag. We're like, no, that's not like cool enough for me. I want it to be cool enough for everybody. I want it to be fucking awesome.
Okay, WWE's been around longer than I have, and God knows this motherfucker likes to make jokes about how old I am. I mean, damn, WWE is older than me. So, I mean, at a certain point, they have a fan base upon a fan base upon a fan base. I mean, damn, we are the first fan base of AEW. You know what I'm saying? This is a good time to be, a part of the, you want to, depending on the crowd, you can play them like, you want to be on the right side of history. You want to be smart. You can jump on the AEW side. Did you just say
that WWE's older than you?
Yes.
Well, fuck. MLB's older than me. Shit. NFL's older than me. NBA. It's older than me.
Wow. This is a whole. Yeah, I was going to say.
We got badass over here.
Right. How old are you?
All right. Can we talk about Edge?
Real quick, you did bring up something that I did not realize for my original argument. Sami Zayn could be out the door, so to make him look like
more so than my point.
Yeah,
that's probably the reason why it's getting ready to happen.
About that.
Yeah, him and KO are basically being used in these two fashions as their last little, thanks for playing. your services are no longer needed, blah, blah, blah.
Can we talk about Edge, Miz?
Yeah, we can talk about it. No, we can talk about it. Not as good as Punk MJF, but I thought it was good.
Of course not. But, I mean, Edge versus Miz was a really good promo that also referenced the CM Punk promo.
Yes, sir.
Which is something that doesn't happen in WWE
and that's
lately.
That's the only thing that is kind of really need to be talked about at this point.
There is something else, and I'm going to ask you guys about this because the Liv Morgan promo said to Becky Lynch, if it wasn't for your big-ass contract, some of my friends would still be here.
I hated it.
Edge said to Miz, you go out and you try to plan for your future endeavor, and meanwhile your friends are back here getting fired, talking about John Morrison.
Right.
Is it in bad taste for WWE to use people's firings as fodder for their promos?
Go ahead, Tubier. I'll let you start.
It is in exceedingly bad taste because they have record profits, and also you mentioned NFL, MLB, all of these things. You know what the percentage that they pay the stars are? So NFL, NBA, all the professional sports. Because the players are the game, they get at least 50% of the gross income as far as as a business model.
Yeah. They
make a ton of money.
Yes.
WWE, it's single digits. Like, everybody's underpaid. It is not Becky Lynch's fault that they are fired. Becky Lynch should actually be making more money than she is, and so should Liv Morgan, and so should everybody else. It is an exceedingly bad taste for them to reference these firings in that regard. Like, I couldn't stand it because there is no reason that in storyline or otherwise this should even be a thing. If they did something so, I know it's a business, they can do what they want. It's absolutely disgusting.
Can I give a counterpoint?
Go ahead, I'm done.
So if CM Punk and MJF are allowed to bring up WWF and our WWE because they know that the audience is smart enough to know that WWE exists. For the last couple months, the biggest story about WWE has been, God damn, they're laying a lot of people off, at least amongst podcasts like ours, like Smarks on Twitter and Sparks on podcasts.
Outside of what you see on
they're
TV,
always talking about, man,
is,
these motherfuckers keep getting dropped. So doesn't it make sense? Isn't it better for the on-screen talent to acknowledge what's happening off-screen? Like, wouldn't you like somebody to be like, where the fuck is Aleister Black? I thought that he was going to be here. I thought he was going to fight me. Did Elias Elias didn't get dropped, did he?
No, but
I would say no, just because it's not realism. Like, what you're talking about is inserting realism, and this is not realism. They're not being truthful. It was insanely greedy for these people to be fired for these record profits. They're not inserting realism.
Yeah, but is it not realistic to say that if Miz was still around with Morrison, that they wouldn't have fired Morrison? Like, I don't think that's unrealistic to say.
Come on.
Yeah,
they could have had the belts.
John Morrison went around the world and became the top star in every promotion that he was in, and then he came to WWE, and they put him right back in the same spot that he was 10 years before whenever he left.
Okay. No, I agree.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. I'm just pushing back a little bit just because.
I'll say this much. I get where you're kind of going with this, but ultimately.
Who, me or Zach?
No, I get where you're trying to go with this.
I'm not trying to go with anywhere. I'm trying to create good pods.
No, and you are, because this is, a conversation that, I think needs to be had. I'll just say this. In this scenario, WWE is cutting people, quote unquote, for budget cuts. Okay? It's not for when MJF ran down CM Punk because he left. Okay, we know these people aren't getting cut because WWE isn't making any money for whatever reason, they have lost interest in them, and now you're free to go.
Right.
WWE has made a ton of fucking money. I'm not mad like Zach is mad about it. You know, it's not disgusting or whatever, but it's not good. It's not, what's the word I'm looking for? Interesting. It's not captivating. It's
those lines didn't pop you, though?
as soon as Liv Morgan said that line about your friends, you know, making more money, I'm like, that's stop.
I mean, it
that's
doesn't
bullshit.
make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. And that's where you lost me.
It doesn't
She
make
was-
any sense. Liv Morgan doesn't seem like a serious contender to Becky Lynch.
No, she's not. We're feeding her to Becky Lynch, and I give you that. But
all right, can I ask you another question?
please.
Do you think that Vince McMahon being on TV for a pay-per-view and 2 straight Raws is in direct response to AEW digging into their ratings a little bit? Do you think that's
actually Netflix and like The Rock team like requested Vince be in that storyline because the storyline they came up with was not good enough because they paid them 7 figures for the ad placement and they were going to put them on a 24/7 run. And they said that's not good enough. Can we get Vince? So Vince was on TV.
Rock was apparently supposed to be there. I'll kind of piggyback on what Two Beer is saying. I didn't hear that.
No way that Rock was supposed to be there. Like, that might have been the plan.
That was the plan.
Months ago.
Yeah, it was WWE's plan, but not The Rock's plan. Otherwise,
Not The Rock's.
Okay. I'm not saying that The Rock, signed off on this. WWE.
I feel like I'm hosting entertainment tonight.
WWE wanted to bring The Rock in, okay, and for whatever reason, I read it was, COVID restrictions that he couldn't travel, or whatever the case may be. Now Rock can be there for Survivor Series. So now you build this red notice.
He was never going to be there.
Yeah. No, he's going. Going to be there. It's not
this
this
WrestleMania,
but next year.
Yeah, when they're in LA.
That's the
when
one.
he only has to take a car
Damn
4
right.
miles.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm the Rock, motherfucker.
That's right.
25 years,
Yeah,
baby.
by the way, I appreciate your devil's advocate. I apologize for getting incredibly heated. I'm not heated at you, but it grosses me out. Like,
I
it
didn't.
grosses me out.
I didn't take it. I didn't take it as
can't stand billionaires. Like Tony Khan gets a pass because he entertains me every week, but still, like,
I didn't
think
take it.
His actual existence is unethical.
Listen,
like,
if you hear a dial tone,
If
if you
it's
hear a
Tony
dial
Khan,
tone
he's
in the
cool.
next couple of minutes, it's not me. It's just the connection. Okay. That's it for the 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, let's get in this fucking stupid ass fucking pay-per-view.
Oh, you did that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's NXT War Games. I got it pulled up on Wikipedia now. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Bo. What the guy? Vice. Which
Multi-talented.
Vice? Do you know which one I went with tonight?
No idea.
But we talked about it on text. I said I think we know which one I'm going to go with. What do you think it was?
Well, I mean, he's the best for alone.
Yeah.
Operator.
Oh, that wasn't the one. No, that wasn't the one. No, that's gonna. We gotta save that one for next week. The Sade. So we have.
I'm already mad. You see my face. I'm already mad. Why do you give him the good stuff?
So we gotta do our NXT War Games predictions. Sorry, Zach. I wish Zach was here.
We're actually doing predictions for this.
Yeah, we're doing predictions for it. So the men's War Game match is Team Tommaso Ciampa, Gargano, Pete Dunne, and LA Knight versus Braun Breaker,
motherfucker's like, are we
Carmelo
really doing
Hayes,
this?
Tony D'Angelo, and Grayson Waller. I'll let Zach go first.
Pretty much, I'm going to say this across the board. If there's new people against old people, then new people are winning.
That seems like a vote for the Braun Breaker team. Okay. That makes pretty good sense. Actually, right there, I'm going to go with it for the same reason. What do you think, Jason?
Oh, shit. Hang on. All right.
Ciampa, Gargano, Dunn, and LA Knight versus Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Tony D'Angelo, and Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I know. It's new school on this one. They kind of shitted the bed on Braun Breaker winning the title. So
They
I guess
shitted the bed?
No, they shitted the bed.
That means, you've been shitted on.
So at that point, I would expect them to start to lead back up to Braun Breaker winning the title. This is on the road. I'll take NXT 2.0. And this should be interesting.
Is that the Braun Breaker team?
I hate the fact that NXT, this match, the women's match.
Oh, it sucks. I'll go first. I'll go first here. Team Raquel Gonzalez, Io Shirai, Cora Jade, and Kaylee Ray versus Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai. I'll take Toxic Attraction. What do you think?
Me too. I'm sorry.
You're taking Toxic Attraction also?
No. That's not my official pick. I was just piggybacking on what you were saying.
What do you think, Zach?
I will take Toxic Attraction.
There's no way Toxic Attraction is losing.
I also heard something pretty funny this week, which Dakota Kai went from Team Kick to Team Tick. That popped me.
Wait, hold on. Say it again.
She went from Team Kick to Team Tick. Totally popped me.
Say it one more time, please.
No.
Please don't. Please don't. I'm over here fighting for my life over here, for Christ's sake. Jesus, don't.
Zach, are you taking the heels or the faces?
Are you talking about for the Toxic Attraction?
No, the women's, yeah.
Yeah, Toxic Attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're heels or faces. I have no idea.
Who cares?
I mean, this sucks because we always take. Okay, here we come. Roderick Strong versus Joe Gacy. I have to say,
dude, seriously,
I love Joe Gacy. I love Joe Gacy.
Come on,
he's good.
Come on.
There's a long history.
Brutal,
there's
dude.
a long history of wrestlers taking newfound fads or stuff that's just in the zeitgeist and just running with it and making it heelish, and that's what Joe Gacy is doing. There's nothing to hate about him unless you're a Generation X motherfucker.
Whoa. Tubeer, what'd you just say?
I actually agree. I enjoy the gimmick. I know it gets a lot of heat, and actually a lot of go-away heat, not heat like in a positive sense like it's supposed to. I know it gets a lot of go-away heat. A lot of people don't like it. It's one of the few things I like about the show. Not that I watch a lot of it, but I do enjoy the segment.
I'm taking Gacy.
Guess it's just you and me, Reeves.
Who are you taking, Zach? You're taking Gacy?
Yeah, I'm taking anybody new. It's all new guard.
I agree.
And
Joe Gacy's probably going to win.
You motherfucker. You fucking, like...
No, I think
show a little bit of balls, dude. Like,
I think they're going to take it.
You're talking about how much you hate Gacy, but you're going to take him?
Oh, on an official pick, of course. Yeah. Do I like it? No.
Imperium versus Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner. You got to go first.
Imperium.
Motherfucker.
Don't be mad. Look, I've been calling for Wagner to turn on Kyle O'Reilly any point. If we're talking about guys losing,
I'll take O'Reilly and Wagner.
Look at you. Okay, look at you.
I'm taking the Cro-Magnon dude, fourth in line in the Evolution chart. He's like 3 up from the fish.
He's like 3 up from the fish.
Dude, I'm dead.
Team Troglodyte.
3 up from the fish is just...
You say that dude right there.
Just a perfect
you
joke.
That motherfucker right there.
This motherfucker sitting over in Portland. It's like 6:30 p.m. over there. He's like, these guys are laughing at me.
Showing his ace.
We got, Duke Hudson, Cameron Grimes. I'll go first. I'm taking Cameron Grimes, baby.
Oh, my God.
Cameron Grimes is doing the Lord's work. The dude rules.
I agree. I like Cameron Grimes a lot.
It's so great.
I cannot see him losing his hair in this scenario. Duke Hudson is close enough. It's just a little nip, cut. It's all good, man. I'll take Cameron Grimes on this one. That's just, I hate the hair versus hair. Fuck it. I just wish they would just
hair versus hair is that's a good gimmick.
Because they didn't come up to this point. I just rather them just have a match and just be done with it. There's nothing wrong with just having a match with no step, no nothing. Just run 2 guys out there that are
who
good.
You got?
Duke Hudson, baby. I don't even know who he is.
Love it.
You don't know who
Love it.
Never mind. Of course you don't.
Okay, so Undertaker came out this week.
Duke Hudson never right? Sorry, go ahead.
No, he was not.
Undertaker came out this week and gave his Mount Rushmore of WWE stars. And it was The Rock, Austin, HBK, and Andre the Giant. Now, what stands out to me there is that there was no Hulk Hogan. Because if you're going to talk about WWFE stars,
Whatever.
Hulk Hogan has to be in there, right?
For sure.
Unless you're doing it for your own, just what you prefer. So, Jason, I'm going to let you go first.
Okay.
What's your Mount Rushmore?
It's on my Twitter handle. It probably just won't change even. There'll be maybe, a sway or two because like I said beforehand when we talked about this in our pre-production show, to me there's three that are lots. And it's in no particular order from that point. I don't care if you know who's number one. It's Mount Rushmore. To me, Hulk Hogan has to be on Mount Rushmore. Without Hulk Hogan, there's no current modern WWE. He had one of the biggest turns in wrestling history when he turned in NWO. Take it for what it's worth. Racist or not, Hulk Hogan's on Mount Rushmore. From that point, it's going to be a homer pick. I love Ric Flair. He's my favorite fucking heel of all time. He wrestles a broom. He could talk shit. I mean, when you look at a heel, Ric Flair is the first guy I think of as a heel. From that point, now we're starting to get in a little modern type shit. Austin, to me, has to be on the Mount Rushmore. He carried the mantle, for lack of a better word. Austin and HBK probably should get some credit in this point. Now, I have no problem with anybody have them being on their Mount Rushmore. But to me, he was the bridge to where Austin came in and really took WWE to another level. And then number 4, once again, this will be my homer pick. This is the pick that is always in question. But I'm always a Rock guy. I remember where he was.
Oh, yeah, it's a real controversial pick.
No.
How's that a homer pick?
It's my
everybody
pick.
hates The Rock.
No, it's my pick.
That can be your pick.
And I can see why. No, I can see why people would not necessarily agree with The Rock. I can see HBK. I can see Bret Hart, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan. If you didn't have him in, there's plenty of other people that you can put in before The Rock. But for me, I remember where I was every time where great shit happens with The Rock. That to me has a personal stick to me the way Ric Flair does.
Two beers, Zach Pullman. Who you got?
So yeah, as far as like ways that you look at it, right? You've got your drawing cards. So like, if you said like, what's the Mount Rushmore of like drawing cards for WWF? It would be Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, and John Cena. Like that's it. Those are the guys. Kind of over the years. That's not necessarily my pick. Those are not mine. But as far as like WWF, what's up?
No, go ahead. It
doesn't have to be WWE. I'm just asking you, who are your...
Oh, it doesn't have to be WWE.
It doesn't have to be WWE.
See, you just opened up a whole new can of worms.
I thought it would be a fun foray into just having a conversation about Mount Rushmore.
No, keep it WWE.
I didn't know that you were going to do
WWE.
the fucking Kevin Costner at the end of JFK fucking speech.
Keep it WWE, man. Fuck you first and foremost, okay? Fuck you.
I just want to hear what everybody's Mount Rushmore is.
Yeah, okay. Say it again.
Mount Rushmore.
You just want our overarching Mount Rushmore?
That's all I want.
Keep it WWE.
Okay.
That's fine. Keep it WWE.
Oh, you want me to keep it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
because I was getting ready to say, you throw in New Japan or All Japan, we got a whole nother argument. Just keep it WWE.
Yeah, I was so I'll throw it out there just for Bill's sake. Like, I think my overarching Mount Rushmore would be Ric Flair, Steve Austin, Kenny Omega, and Masawa. Those are my four. The WWE, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, Rock, HBK.
See, now I'll go a little different. I think that Jericho cannot be ignored. I think Jericho has
to be ignored. You're right.
I think Jericho has to be on a Mount Rushmore. Jericho had a longer career than any of those guys and did more stuff than any of those guys and stayed current and is still current.
In AEW, not WWE.
Just current in general. Even with Kevin Owens, even with the Festival of Friendship.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
The Festival of Friendship was 20 years after.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
20 years after his debut.
I'm not disagreeing.
And he was still current as fuck.
I want this, if we're going to keep it as a WWE discussion, it's what you do inside those Stamford, Connecticut walls. Jericho is probably the guy that if I had to replace Rock with one, Jericho is probably that guy.
So
I was expecting you to say a couple other guys.
Here's the thing about Rock. Here's the thing about Rock is that Rock didn't have any really sustained title runs. He lost a lot of big matches, and to me, that makes him even better than Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that The Rock is incredible because of his selling. The dude sold more than anybody, and I love The Rock, and I think that leaving The Rock and Steve Austin because you want to have one and not the other is bullshit. They are both fucking awesome, and they're both in my top four.
So what's your Mount Rushmore again?
Jericho, Rock, Austin, Angle.
I was waiting. Okay, that's the one I was waiting for you. That's the one I was waiting. I was like, where's Kurt Angle? Where's Kurt Angle? Where's Kurt Angle? I was waiting for it. I'm like, there's that guy that, the gold medal guy.
That's
yeah,
that's my WWE.
And Kurt Angle's had some amazing matches, and he's had amazing matches with everybody that.
But for Taker to leave Hogan out seems a little silly. Because Hogan created the atmosphere. Hogan made the foundation. He made the petri dish that Undertaker grew from.
Okay, and that's all I'm saying. Even before I hated Undertaker, I hated Hulk Hogan more. And the reason why I started to like the Undertaker is he was the first guy that was like, what?
He also never said the N-word that we know of.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's from Texas,
He didn't say the N-word, but there were a lot of times where he used the term boy a little too aggressively.
That's lying. My favorite. That's yeah. I was getting ready to say, I'd rather you just say the N-word versus throw the boy around like he threw that shit around. Like, okay, really? You just might say this is like some Denzel shit. You might as well just whip me.
This is Man from Ringside.
Oh shit!
Pick a button.
I hate them both. So we can talk about some other stuff while I'm waiting for the shit to run out.
You want my four?
Oh yeah, no, I want both four. Sorry. Hey, Vice.
What about your? So
Vice.
I threw my four out there. What about your overarching four? I just threw them out there without a whole lot of thought. What's your overarching four? Non-WWE.
No, I'm going to make it real easy. I'm not going to sit here and argue or get long-winded like JCB, but that's what I do. I hear you. My Rushmore, Angle, I love that guy. He's the best. HBK.
Edge and Christian.
I wish. And then I'm going Stone Cold, and then I'm going Jericho. Jericho he's so good, and the reason he's so good is he's still relevant. Think about when he debuted. When they did the countdown, and he came out there, and his first thing was with The Rock.
20 years ago.
Okay. That's so relevant. Think about the best intro we've seen this year.
Punk.
Huh? No, when MJF came out and mocked the countdown. JCB, we were watching it at your house.
Yeah.
And we both went nuts.
Yeah.
And we thought it was Jericho. And who was it? It was MJF.
It was, that was.
Your Rushmore is who?
It's Jericho, Angle, Rock, Austin, HBK.
No problem with that. That's what I'll say. HBK is probably the guy that should be getting a lot more love, especially when he's had a 2-part career.
I remember one time when we were in college, I went over to Bo's place. He had this 4-bedroom house over off 94, and we were watching this Edge and Christian thing, and Bo's girlfriend and like these 2 other chicks were down there. Like Bo always had these girlfriends that were 5 years younger and blonde, and they were like, "This is terrible acting." Bo was like, "Go, just walk out, just go. We're watching
How
Raw.
dare you speak ill
Just
of the
go.
WWE?
Go.
I banish you, woman."
Hey, everybody,
We'll
we
be
got
there
some
in a
birthdays
second.
this week. Victor, you remember Victor from the Ascension?
Ascension.
He's 41. Hiromu Takahashi. You know how old he is?
36.
31.
32. Larry
Sure,
Zbyszko.
Living
68.
legend.
Dynamite Kid, R.I.P. would have been 63. Rick Rude,
R.I.P.
R.I.P. would have
Guy
been
that should've-
63.
the
You know
guy
what
that
Rick
should've
Rude's
been a
real name
champion.
is? Richard Rude.
I know. I was getting ready to say. I knew
Just
Rude was his
R-O-O-D-E.
I
It's
knew-
so badass.
I knew it was the last
He was
name to
born
say.
Rick
I thought it was
Rude.
Peter Polite.
Sonny. Sonny. Do you know how old Sonny is?
Sonny.
Tony Fight, too old anymore, but
You talking about
she really
the
got it.
blonde chick, Sonny? Yeah, she's older than me. Yeah, gotta be.
49.
got it
John
going
Moxley,
for me.
hope you're doing okay, my brother. I'm going to see my cousin John Moxley tomorrow at noon. It's so weird that there's a wrestler named John Moxley.
Right.
Anyway, he's 36. My cousin John Moxley is like 43. He looks like shit. ACH. He doesn't. He's jacked, man. ACH
You mean
is
Miles with the big smile?
yeah. Jordan Miles is 34.
Ooh, you ain't right.
Slick. Younger than you think. He's alive. He's alive.
Good. That was my first thing. Are you looking at me like, is he alive? I'm like, I don't know.
Younger than you think. He's 64.
Good. I was going to say 58.
Michael Cole. Younger than you think.
Older than me, I'm going to go 54.
53. And Enzo Amore.
He's going to debut on MLW next week. He's got to be younger than me. I'm going to go 43.
I think that he should be cast as kind of whenever they say like hometown, it should just be like whatever local Sabaros there is.
He's 35. Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours. For Sideways in Time, for
Check.
Lucha Chris,
Check.
for Patriot Pat, my dude,
Oh, my God. I'm
for
crying.
Bo Vice Geisman,
Always a pleasure. Good to see you,
for
Check.
my wife, who doesn't seem to be caring that we're out here. She might be dead downstairs. I have
we
no
could be
idea.
doing all kinds of great shit,
For
Check.
Two Beer Zach Pullman,
Check.
for
Your daughter.
Jason Cornelius
Your
Bell,
daughter.
for Edna May, Josephine
Bay.
Veggie, my heart.
Check.
I am Bill Veggie, and
Check.
everybody, don't forget to boo the heels.